Good morning, everybody. This is a continuation of makeup ideas for the over 55s, the people who don't have perfect skin. So I was just going to show you a couple of techniques on eyeshadows, and I showed you last time how the foundation went on and putting on some concealers in here. And basically, I think I would just like to show you a few of those ideas. One of the things you can see is, yes, I do have a little bit of makeup on, but I just use my very flat, it's a flat wedge-shaped brush, and I would just literally put that into whichever powder eyeshadow suited your eyebrows. And I literally use the flat side of the brush and literally just add that over the top of my existing eyebrows, because I don't have many, and as you can see, that makes quite a nice shape. And that is the way I do eyebrows. There's some great eyebrow pencils, and if you've got lots of eyebrow hair, they are really good. And there are also some very new eye pencils too now, which are brand new. These are called long wear eye pencil, and they certainly seem to be very lovely. And basically, with eye pencil, I think I showed you last time, I just put a little bit underneath my eyelashes, and then I would literally get, again, this little flat brush and just blend it in, like so. Okay, so when I explained about how I've always had very baggy eyebrows, always have. But if I could just show you a couple of techniques on that, that'd be great. One of them is to take, a sort of rather full brush and just add, this is a palette I've had for many years. It's not in the current range, but I would just literally take that all over the eye area. And that sets the eyebrow back. Oh, sorry, it sets the eyelid back. So basically then I'm going to add, with this little flat brush here, one of the new colors. Now these new colors are beautiful. They are absolutely lovely. And because I'm wearing sort of pinks, I'm just going to use that purple shade. And I'm literally putting that into where, if I didn't have puffy eyelids, where the actual socket line would be. I mean, some of you may remember this style of makeup from way back, but now that looks rather definite, and I can then go over the top of this with this brush and maybe choose one of these. This is like a rose goldy shade. I've forgotten the name just at the moment. And I would then blend that with the base on, like so. Frosted eyeshadows are great when you use them correctly. But if you use frosted eyeshadows a lot, it can make your eyes look puffy. So we don't want to do that with mine. So I've just done it so that it sets it back by using a very pale beige color, and that has set it back, which forms then a nice sort of level playing field to do something with this socket line. So I'm creating a false kind of shadow there. And when you look down, sorry, keep knocking the table. When you look down, you'll see that it is just a line, but when you're actually just walking about and carrying on whatever day to day, then you really don't know. And by blending it with one of these pale shades in the middle, that brings that part of the eyelid forward. So by actually using those tricks for anybody who does have puffy eyelids like mine, and if necessary, hold the actual skin a little bit so that you can see where that is. All right, now that's really good to use for day. And then if you want to, you can add, like I'm going to use just a little bit more of that color because it will look quite nice with the clothing that I'm wearing. Okay. Now, if I wanted to do something like this for nighttime, I would probably do something different. Now let's take that purple shade again. So instead of just doing the socket line, I'm going to take it in a V shape so that the side of the V is actually part of the socket line, but I'm going to increase that color across the center, like so. Now that looks darker and it looks a little bit more dramatic than this side. So this is how you can use some of these colors to your advantage. You can actually use a wedge shape like this with the point of the wedge coming right to the corner, or you can do the socket line and then put the paler color in the center. So this would be my nighttime idea. Again, still using the same color, but I've just done it slightly differently. And because I can, you know, over the top of using this, all I did was get some, I didn't use a pencil this morning, I just got some of this and just put it as I would on the eyebrow underneath, and that was sufficient. So here I might basically just do a little bit underneath. And I can take that up towards the eyebrow area. Now the smaller the eye, the smaller the wedge shape. So if you do it that way, sorry, this is just a pointy stick. This is also a very nice wedge brush. Basically, I have basically done that sort of shape wedge, but if your eye is slightly smaller, do a smaller V shape, but carry it through underneath. So, and it's only a small amount of difference. I'll just put some more on here. But if you do it this way, you'll get a more dramatic look for nighttime. But then again, it might look a bit out there for somebody going out doing the shopping or whatever. So this is a nice natural way of doing this with just the socket line here and then a slightly frosted shade to bring that forward. So does that give you a few ideas? You can just see the difference. Now, if you wanted to, you could also add a little bit of eyeliner at night time as well. So if you do that, just hold the corner of the eye and half close the eye and draw it from the side into the center, because that way you're not going to get a jagged look. So if you can just see that, I've put the eyeliner on, like so. Not this side, that's much more for daytime, but this one will look quite nice and be defined just a little bit. What happens at night is that electric light flattens all the colors. So when you're going out, for instance, you do need to make a little bit more of your eye make. I'm doing the same thing underneath the eye, but I'm only taking that line to about, I don't know, 50–60% along the bottom, because if it's all the way around, it'll close the eye in. So if that's given you a few ideas, play around with some shades. These are great. The new ones, they are just lovely. And just so that you can see, with my nice little white brush here, this is a lovely highlighter here. If you wanted to highlight your cheekbones a little bit, you can actually just put a little bit on the top. So you've got some eyeshadows in there, you might have a blush in there and 2 eyeshadows. And that way, that's also a really lovely way of lifting your face. And the other day, I think I told you something that I've only just learned, that this was a nice way to wear a blush as well. Again, get this brush here and just put a little bit right on the top of the bone, like that. Because that will also be really good just to lift your face quite a bit. And if you really want to get into a little bit of contouring, you know how we used the latte last time and the drops? You can actually get a little bit of the drops on your ring finger and literally pat it under here and use it as a contour, again, to hollow out your cheekbones. So a little bit of a V shape here, back towards the earlobe, and that will create that. And then you can just literally use a loose powder brush and brush over the top. So I hope that's given you some ideas to play with. All right, talk to you soon.